Hey guys, it's Brant, and I'm back with another track versus track video. And this is one that I know a lot of you have been looking forward to. Today we're going to be having Rock and Roll Over go up against Love Gun, the two juggernauts from the era of what a lot of people consider. You have your teams that gets divided. You have the people that love the pre-Alive Kiss or the Alive and pre-Alive Kiss, and then you have the fans that love the post-Alive Kiss. And I kind of fall into that camp a little bit. I love all Kiss, and I'm really fond of Kiss pre-80s. But these two albums were, a lot of the songs that's on these two albums were staples to me, and of course Destroyer also. So these two albums really mean a lot to me, and they're so iconic. I mean, and it's going to be really hard when we do the picking your favorite cover today. It's going to be really hard between these two because these two are just so iconic and people love them so much. In the panel today, we have a new special guest. Below me, I have my co-host, my faithful co-host, Carla.
Hello. And
kind of over here to me, we have a returning panelist, John B Goode.
He's gone.
And over here to my my right on the screen, we have Heim from the band Voices of Doom, and I've reviewed their
Voice of Doom.
Voice of Doom, not Voices. That's just in my head as Voices.
Yeah.
Voice of Doom. Thank you for correcting me on that. Voice of Doom, I've done a video, and I'll link the card up here so you can check it out. But I did a review of their album that they sent me, and really good album. I really enjoyed it, and there's some songs on there I still crank to this day. They've made it to my daily playlist, and there's some songs on there I listen to several times a week during my commute and during my work day. And Heim, you're a huge Kiss fan. We'll just kind of start getting introductions out of the way and start talking about what you like between these two albums and what you like about Kiss. Since you're new to us, we'll let you talk a little bit first.
That's interesting. You know, these two I've always felt were kind of bookendish records, you know, and I feel the same way. They're very nostalgic for me. That was my just learning about rock and roll in general, you know, and I had older sisters and a brother-in-law who gave me Destroyer was my first record. So I went from there, but I would eventually get Love Gun. I missed Rock and Roll Over. I just, you know, there was no internet. I didn't know there was a Rock and Roll Over until I got like Alive 2. Then I started getting all the older records, but they are quintessential Kiss records, and I think it's going to be a split decision on which one's better overall. My personal favorite Kiss record is Love Gun of all time. So,
okay,
that's where I lean.
Between the two of these, which one do you think is going to win today?
I think it's going to be a split decision, but I'm going to say Love Gun edges Rock and Roll Over out just by a smidgen.
All right.
So supposed to shock me alone.
So you're like I said, your band is obviously big fans of. You said your influences is Black Sabbath, Kiss, and you're big fans of the band Kiss, and to the point where on your new upcoming album that you have coming out, it's a live album, and with some studio tracks, kind of like Alive 2 was, and one of the tracks you're covering on that studio side is Almost Human from Kiss. And you sent it to me, and I sent it to these guys to listen to. And I want to let the viewers listen to a little bit of that now, just to let them get a little snip of what Voice of Doom is about when it comes to covering a Kiss song. So we'll let them listen to that right now.
I'm almost human, can't help feeling strange.
I really like it. I mean, I think it sounds authentic Kiss coming right off. And I don't have a whole lot of experience with you guys just from what I've heard on the album that you sent me and that I reviewed and some stuff that I've looked up on YouTube and on the internet, on streaming stuff and everything. But I like it. I think it's, and I know that that's a not quite finished version of it. You still got some work you said you wanted to do on it, but
Yeah.
I think it's great. It's you guys plus it's Kiss at the same time. So I think it's great. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really
I thought it was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
All right, go ahead, Carla.
We both just want to talk about it. It's so good. Well, I don't really get to hear too many Kiss covers. I don't hear them too often. Like, you never really hear people on the radio do them or anything like that. So to hear a Kiss cover is a real treat. And it's done right, for sure. I really liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. It's a great track pick, too, because, you know, that song, Almost Human, I just don't think gets enough love. It's just such a great song, you know, and it's great to hear it done by somebody else, and you did a really good job at it. Loved it.
Thanks. Well, I feel it fit our persona. You know, if we had to do a Kiss song, it would have to be either that one or God of Thunder or something dark and scary. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Definitely. All right, so John, talking about first, talk about these two albums a little bit, and then give your prediction on which one you think's going to win.
Sure. These two albums is basically when Kiss was at their pinnacle. They were at the top of their game. Their sister albums to me, Love Gun, that was the first album I bought with my own money on cassette tape when I was like 12. So I hold it really close to my heart. Got the T-shirt on. Got the still have my Love Gun.
Yeah.
From the album. Got it back here. This is the original album that I don't have the paper bang anymore. It's in pieces. But I still have the original album that was my brother's back in the 70s. And I always play it. Still plays really well. Love the album. And between those two albums, I think they were the best produced albums of the 70s. I mean, Eddie Kramer was definitely the best fit for Kiss back in the 70s, in my opinion. As far as prediction, it's going to be close, I think. I think it's going to be really close. I think it may even be a tie. But if I have to predict one winning, I like Love Gun a little bit better. But I think the general public is going to put Rock and Roll over just a little bit over Love Gun. But we'll have to see.
Okay, Carla?
Yeah, I pretty much feel the same way. To me, these albums are their sister albums. It's kind of a part one, part two. It kind of feels weird to listen to one and then not the other. It just kind of you have to listen to them at the same time. And that's for me personally. Yeah, and I think, John, like you said, Eddie Kramer is such a good fit for them because he was able to work with all four of the guys. He knew how to work with Ace. He knew how to work with Paul and Gene and Peter. And he was able to get them all to cooperate and to all listen to each other and play these great songs. And you can definitely hear it on the album, just how well they were all able to work together for these two albums. I think, like you guys said, it's going to be really close. And I agree with John. I think I like Love Gun a little bit better, but I think Rock and Roll Over is going to win just by a hair. And I think the reason for that is I think there's one or two songs on Love Gun that just aren't well liked by people. And I think those one or two songs are what's going to put it second to Rock and Roll Over.
Okay. Well, I was going to listening to you guys, and Heim popped his Love Gun there, and I decided to pull mine out, and I've got a Love Gun here, and John, you talked about your bang being busted. In my Love Gun, I bought this at my original. I got this from a store, but I ended up with 2 extra bangs. So I have a bang and I have 2 extra bangs. So I got a lot of banging going on. So
I still got my bang, but it's in pieces.
I love that even though my gun is popped out, the actual cardboard that it was inside of is still in there, which I think is awesome. And while we're talking about awesome, I mean, come on. Can we just not appreciate this right here for a second? I used to stare at that. And I used to I bet Gene spit that blood up. I bet he was just like, kiss. You know, that's things that a little kid thinks, man, is you think stuff like that. I'm going to open this up. This is the Walmart exclusive, trying to get it in there. This is the Walmart exclusive splatter. And I was wanting to open mine. I do not have the variant that has the horns. And it's not a variant, it's a misprint. But a lot of people, this chick right here, this Love Gun Girl, has horns. And it's just blue ink or whatever that got on the press somewhere. But a lot of people are collecting them because not every one of them is like that. So if you have one of these, you might want to check and see. If you picked up one from Walmart, you might want to check and see if you've got the little horns on the little lady down there. It's got that. So that's cool. No gun, which we knew there wasn't any gun in these, that they didn't put the gun in it. I've seen better, but that's not too bad.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, that's not too bad of a splatter. I've seen some people that just had a glob, and then I've seen some people, their splatter was just amazing. But yeah, I'll take that. And it's thick. It's got a good 180 gram album. It's nice and heavy. All right, so let's get into. I do not have the panel printed out in front of me, so I missed that part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop a thing up right here, showing everybody that's on the panel today, everybody, and it's a lot of the same people that we see every week. If you're watching this, there's a good chance that you've put in for it. So, your name will be on the screen. You can find your name, and I will tell you that there is 49 of us on the panel today, counting the 4 of us. So there's 45 of you out there, and your name will be on the screen while I'm saying and running my mouth here right now. So we're going to go ahead and get into the tracks. 10 tracks, starting with track number 1. Track number 1 is I Want You going up against I Stole Your Love. And so what's predictions? We'll start with Heim on what your prediction is for this one.
All right. Well, my prediction is I Stole Your Love, because it's a great ripper, and going to my notes, but for me it was a bit too straightforward. Very basic song structure. I personally chose I Want You because even though Love Gun's my favorite record overall, it had more nuance and character, I feel, than I Stole Your Love. I love the shared lead, the Paul and Ace lead in it, and I only wish Paul said instead of saying is, like on Alive 2, I love when he was said is, that was the only part of I Want You that made me cringe a little bit at the time, but I think it's a better song overall. But I Stole Your Love will be the winner by the panel.
All right, John, what about you? What's your prediction?
I'm with Heim on that. I'm predicting the panel will go with I Stole Your Love as well. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, these are just predictions. I messed up.
These are just predictions.
Oh, yep. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Carla?
We'll get that in post.
No, I'll leave it in. No. If I can find a creative way to cut it, I'll cut it. So, Carla, what about you?
Yeah, same with me. I think it's going to be I Stole Your Love.
Well, I predicted the same as well. My prediction was I Stole Your Love. Excuse me. So you would think that I Stole Your Love is the winner, right? You might have some surprises along the way on this one, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Track number 1, I Want You scored 10 points. I Stole Your Love, 30. I Stole Your Love, 39 points. So I Stole Your Love wins track 1. My pick for number one, my pick between those two, me personally, is I Stole Your Love. I like I Want You and I like I Stole Your Love both. These are both amazing songs to start off. And on both of these albums, Eddie Kramer had Kiss at their best, even when they were kind of not necessarily at their best. He had them at their best. These are pretty well produced albums. Being somebody who has recorded music and mixed music, I hear little, I would have done something different than that throughout all of them. And Kiss is always a band that sounded better live than studio. They never really quite captured how they sound live. But these albums both are good frameworks for the songs. But for me, I Stole Your Love just has more energy. Even though, like Heim said, it's a little more basic. It just has. I guess that's what I like about it. Is it has that basic just drive to it, and it's what they used to open the show with. So I used to always think they opened the show with Detroit Rock City, but actually Detroit Rock City was one of the encores. So they opened with I Stole Your Love, and it had that extended because they were coming down off of the hydraulics or coming down the stairs or whatever they did. But for me, I Want You, it's got that same problem like Heim said. It's got that, I don't like that I don't like that either. It just, that gets me. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of the flanger where the second time he comes around and they slow down after the guitar solo and that shared guitar solo you talked about. But when he comes out and it's like and Peter does that drum and they got that flanger going over it, I don't like that either. I know that was an effect that they did, and that was just Eddie being creative. And I don't understand why any of the four guys wasn't fighting to get Eddie Kramer to produce their solo album, coming off of these two albums and coming off of Alive. Produced 3 straight albums for him, and I guess the other 3 guys just wanted a break. But Ace snatched him up, and who only knows what Paul's album would have looked like, or Gene's or Peter's. I mean, if anybody needed him, I think maybe Gene or Peter did. Who would have? I mean, could you imagine an Eddie Kramer produced Peter Criss solo album? I mean, it might have sounded totally different. So, but yeah. So for me, I Stole Your Love is my pick. And Hein, go ahead and talk about yours again.
Yeah, I chose I Want You because I felt it had more character. It's more dynamic overall. Had more nuance and character than I Stole Your Love, I feel. I love that shared lead. And, I Stole Your Love is a great ripper, but a little too straightforward, a very basic song structure for me. Though it's all these songs are hard to choose from. But
right.
That's my pick. I Want You.
John?
I love both songs, but I just love I Stole Your Love just a little bit better. I love the punch that it comes out, that first chord and the drums, boom, dun da 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 da. Love that, and I love just the drums sound great in that song. Drums sound great in Rock and Roll Over as well, but it's just a great way to start an album off out of the gate for me, and that's why I go with I Stole Your Love.
Okay, Carla.
Yeah, pretty much that's exactly how I feel. I judge opening tracks a little bit more than I do other tracks on an album because to me it's all about that opening track. And the opening track is kind of a preview of what the album's going to sound like or kind of what you're going for. And I think I Stole Your Love is just such a great opening track, and it really gives you a preview of you're going to hear some heavy songs on this album. It's going to be pretty intense at times, and yeah, I just think it's a fantastic track. So I went with I Stole Your Love as well.
All right, so that takes us to track 2. This is in between Christine 16 and Take Me.
My prediction for the panel is Take Me.
And my prediction between those two songs is going to be Take Me as well. Yep.
Same with me. I think the panel's going to go with Take Me.
I think the panel's going to go with Christine 16, so I'm going to be different from you guys. I think the panel's going to go with Christine 16. And I think I thought that because Christine 16 was on a live too, and Take Me wasn't. Could have been, but it wasn't. So I think maybe it's got a little more exposure. So track 2, coming in with 19 points in second place, is Christine 16. So Take Me wins the second track with 30 points. And I mean, that's a commanding. I mean, there's not been much gray area between these first 2 tracks. So Take Me wins. My personal pick for this track is Christine 16. Take Me is another. I like Take Me. Take Me is a great song. I think it should have been on the live too. They performed it. I think Hooligans should have been on live too. They performed it. But Christine 16 is just. I love Christine 16. I love that piano, and I love the whenever they. There is no doubt about it. Tat tat tat. I'm just being a drummer. I used to always live for that little. You know, and Ace does a little thing on the guitar, the tat, 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 you know, on the live version. That's just great. So, yeah, Christine, 16, you know, it's about Gene being in love with a underage, well, not in love. Not in love. Gene wanting to, yeah, Gene wanting to slow grind and slow press.
Well, he wrote it when he was a teenager, so that's funny. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you know, wrote it when he was a teenager, singing it as a 20-year-old, you know, it was, you know, 10-year age difference. It was okay.
Just Me Too to Gene Simmons.
Yeah, me too. So Christine 16 for me. So what about you guys?
I agree. Christine 16 was very nostalgic for me as a 10-year-old, you know. I had the 7-inch single with Shock Me on the B-side, right? Mm-hmm. And Eddie Kramer on piano, great added touch. It just had a lot of nuances, that song. Take Me, that was like my sex education for me and my friends, you know, like with some of those lyrics. Mm-hmm. We would all recite the lyrics and giggle, you know.
Sitting in the back, her head down in my lap. The moonlight
put your hand in my pocket.
Yeah, grab
onto my rocket.
Yep.
We were like, what? Huh? Oh, yeah. But and tell me when you first heard Tone Loc's Funky Cold Medina, you didn't pick out that riff right away, right?
Mm-hmm. From Shock Me, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was like, all right, Tone Loc, I see you.
Yeah.
So what about you, John?
My pick for that is Christine 16 as well. I mean, I just love that tune. I love the piano. I love everything about it. You know, and you got to remember isn't it one of the tracks that Gene did a demo with Eddie Van Halen, I believe.
Yeah,
I think it was. Yeah, yeah, just a great track. So I had to go with Christine 16.
All right.
Yeah, same here. I just love this song. I think it's so fun, and it's a song that you have to remember was written in a different time. Mm-hmm. And I guess when you think about it that way, it's really fun. It's playful. I think it's fine. I love it. And I always joke that I think I've heard other people say this too, so I'm not claiming that I originated this, but you know, I think it'd be so fun for Kiss to do this in concert now, but if they want to be PC, just change it to Christine 60.
Yeah.
Just have it be about a teacher or a principal.
Yeah.
You can keep all the other lyrics, basically just Christine 60. I think that'd be really fun to hear it in concert. I think a lot of really longtime diehard Kiss fans would go crazy for that.
Yeah, if you went with Christine 60, it would still be 10 years younger than Gene is right now. So.
But it's not illegal. Yeah. They're in the tier.
Right.
Christine 16 is 60 now.
That's a good point, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, the piano, I think Gene originally played piano on it, and they re-recorded it, if I'm not mistaken, because Gene just didn't have quite the touch on it, and Eddie re-recorded it. But yeah, I love Christine 16, and I love that, you know, Take Me has its innuendos, but I love that monologue, you know, that I don't usually say things like this to girls your age. Yes. Yeah. When I saw you coming out of school that day. I mean, he's just, he's just trying to be so suave, you know. And of course, on the live too, we got the Cookie Monster. You know, oh, say things like "Girls your age." You know, we got Cookie Monster on the live too. You know, but I just love the way he delivers it on Love Gun. That day I knew. He's just, it's awesome.
When I was a kid, I always pictured, I'd always pictured Gene Simmons in full makeup in a car parked out at the side of a high school, just watching all the girls come out.
Yeah.
That one right there. Come here.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I've got to have you. Yeah.
I've got to have you. All right, so track 3 is between Got Love for Sale and Calling Dr. Love.
My prediction for track 3 for the panel is Dr. Love, Calling Dr. Love.
Definitely. That's my prediction as well, is Calling Dr. Love, for sure.
Yeah, same here. Calling Dr. Love.
All right. Same here, Calling Dr. Love. With 13 points, panel chose Got Love for Sale as second. And with 36 points, panel chose Calling Dr. Love. Me, personally, I love both of these songs. These are, like, I love these albums, and I love both of these songs. But for me personally on this one, I picked Got Love for Sale. I love Calling Dr. Love, and I love everything about it. It's almost like the bookend to Christine 16. It's still Gene being pervy Gene. But to me, Got Love for Sale, Have Love Will Travel, and just, you know, just the whole rhythm and the whole vibe of Got Love for Sale is just so upbeat and in your face, and it's got that kissing of that acoustic guitar, that cling cling all through it, and Cookie Monster Gene is in full effect on this one with the girls and everything. But whenever they bust into that, whenever it's "My love will not fail you, whoa no," that repeating back and forward, and when they just bust into that "Have Love," that's one of my favorite moments on that album. I love that part of Got Love for Sale. So, yeah, man, Got Love for Sale for me all day long over Calling Dr. Love.
I agree, Brent. Got Love for Sale is one of the best songs on this record. I love it. I always loved it. Great Peter Fills, rolls. When Gene says, "'cause I'm a living cross your heart, man." I mean, the vocal is just above and beyond. I mean, he is truly, his craft at that point was undeniable.
You got to have me. You can't live without me because I'm the one and only. Yes, I mean, he's firing on all cylinders.
Nails it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's firing on all cylinders.
Such a quintessential Ace lead. I mean, just brilliant lead on that song. Mm-hmm. Dr. Love.
That long bend he does at the very beginning. That
totally.
It's like
that's
that. Just totally
typical Ace. Yeah. Calling Dr. Love, it's a classic,
Mm-hmm.
Also a tasty, insane Ace lead I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest decision on this list, I feel. I love them both, but Got Love for Sale for me.
Right.
And I agree. I picked Got Love for Sale, hands down. I just love the sound of it. Like you mentioned, Brant, with that acoustic guitar layered into the electric guitar, it sounds so nice. The lyrics, classic Gene song. I'm so horny you can't neglect. Come on. I used to sing that line in my room. I remember my mom heard me singing that one day. She's like, "I don't like that stuff." Oh boy. But yeah, love it. Love that song. Got Love for Sale is my pick, hands down.
Well, I'm going to branch out from all you guys, and I'm going to go with Calling Dr. Love. I love this song for all the reasons you love Got Love for Sale, and you talked about it. To me, this is such a classic Gene song as well. And yeah, it's such a sequel to Christine 16 in a way. I feel like this is what he would sing to her after he's picked her up from school, which sounds crazy.
It's like, now that you slept with me, by the way, you might need a doctor.
Right. Yeah.
So you might want to call Dr. Love.
Right.
I used to forget which songs were on which record? Calling Dr. Love in 1616.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. The songs on these. Thank you. I'm glad somebody mentioned that. These songs on these albums are so interchangeable. They are.
Yeah.
I get confused about which one. That's why I said earlier. I don't know if y'all caught it. I'm like, that song is the best song on that album because my mind was going, is it Rock and Roll Over? Is it Love Gun?
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
They're
and,
so interchangeable.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, I always laugh when I hear this song because I don't know if anybody remembers was it Cherry Dr. Pepper or Vanilla Dr. Pepper when he did when Gene did those commercials, and I'm a doctor, so it always makes me laugh. It's a good time. I like it, so I went with Calling Dr. Love.
Trust me, I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings us to and I haven't done a track count yet because I'm not keeping up with it. So you're just going to have to find out at the end. I'm not gonna spoon feed you this time. Keep up with yourself. Track 4, that puts us in between Shock Me and Ladies Room. It's predictions.
Of course, Shock Me. It's going to be a blowout. 100% panel prediction.
Yeah, I would be shocked if the panel went any other way. So, yeah, my prediction is Shock Me.
Ooh, what a shocking statement.
It would shock me as well if Shock Me lost. So I'm going with Shock Me.
Okay. My prediction shocked me as well. I mean, there's no way. Ladies Room, great song. I love it. Typical Gene. It is the Gene of this era. And I love Ladies Room. It's such a great song. But there's no way in hell it was going to beat Shock Me. 3 panelists picked Ladies Room over Shock Me. And so that leaves Shock Me with 46 points. That is not the biggest blowout of the album, though. So between the two albums, between the two. So we'll get to that one later. But Shock Me, 46. And my pick, come on, man. If you know me, if you've watched any of my videos, you know I could drink a gallon of blue Kool-Aid over this song. It's one of my favorite Kiss songs. It's in the top 5. It's in my top 5 favorite Ace songs. And it's a masterpiece. And I actually enjoy the studio version just as equally as the live version because they're 2 totally different characteristics and dynamics. And I appreciate both of them. I was actually talking about this with Heim before I got the 2 of you on the call earlier. You listened all the way through Love Gun, and the whole sound of Love Gun sounds the same. The guitar sounds the same. The mix sounds the same. The drums sound the same. But then when you hit Shock Me, everything sounds different. The guitars sound different. The drums sound different. The snare has that ring to it that I love hearing a snare have that ring to it. Peter, some of his best drumming ever, period. That feel at the very beginning of it, everybody learned how to play that. Every drummer learned how to play that feel.
Absolutely.
But this, just the way the guitars sound, the way Ace delivers, I mean, and I remember the very first time I heard Ace. I didn't. Whenever I was watching it whenever I was listening to it on the live too, when I was a kid, whenever Paul was doing his whole monologue, we got a little surprise for you tonight. I'm like, why is it a surprise? I didn't really realize it was the first time Ace had ever sang a lead vocal until later. But I remember hearing Ace coming in and just having such a unique voice. Peter and Ace, Gene and Paul have great voices, and everybody knows Gene and Paul's voices when they hear them. But Peter and Ace, man, they just have the most unique voices. And I love Shock Me. I'm going to have to cut myself off because we're trying to keep this not less than 4 hours. But yeah, Shock Me for me all the way.
Shock Me, totally. I think Ladies Room is a good song, but put up against Shock Me, come on. And it was a little mundane for me, Ladies Room, but I love every song except for one, but you alluded to that. This is Ace Frehley's best song up until this day, and for me. And it's his best lead on a guitar, on a song. and it's my favorite guitar lead of all time out of any song. I mean, I just loved every part of this song. And it was such a breath of fresh air to hear another vocal from Kiss. I didn't even know what Ace's speaking voice sounded like at the time, you know? So I was like, oh, this is different and interesting, you know? And to this day, just love it.
John?
Yeah, same with me. Shock Me is. I go back and forth between my two favorite tracks on Love Gun, and it's Shock Me or it's I Stole Your Love. Those two are hands down my favorite songs, and you know the drumming. Peter Criss's drumming on Shock Me, I think, is probably the best sounding drums that of any '70s Kiss album, in my opinion. And you know, Ace's vocals. You know, it's the first time we hear Ace. I believe there was a story. Didn't he have to record the vocals laying on his back in the studio because he was so nervous? Yep. He was so nervous to do it, and
bottle of wine in his hand.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It had nothing to do with the nerves, though.
yeah. But yeah, hands down, my choice. You know, love that track.
Yeah, I went with Shock Me too. Like Brant, gallon of blue Kool-Aid all day. I really love this song. It's so cool, and you know, when you hear about the story behind it and everything, it just makes it even better. And there's actually a really cool video on YouTube where Ace kind of does like a little tutorial on this song, like how to play it. And even if you're not a guitar player, like I am not a guitar player, I will never be a guitar player, but I still like watching it because he tells little stories and little tricks, you know, like how he gets certain parts to sound a certain way and how he manipulates the strings, and it's awesome. So even if you're just wanting to just watch Ace play this song, look for that video on YouTube. It's really good.
Mm-hmm. Just self-taught and can't read music. You know?
Yeah.
So that brings us to track 5, halfway through. This is putting Tomorrow and Tonight up against Baby Driver.
My prediction for the panel is Baby Driver.
And my prediction for the panel is going to be Tomorrow and Tonight.
Yeah, now we're starting to split off. Mine is Baby Driver.
Mm-hmm. And mine is Tomorrow and Tonight. That's my prediction. Yeah. So we're 50-50. So this is whenever I was predicting, and this whenever I was picking. Picking not so much, not so hard, but predicting. This is the first one I was like, wasn't so hard to pick though. So between Tomorrow and Tonight and Baby Driver, 18 points. The loser between the two is Tomorrow and Tonight. And the winner, Baby Driver, with 31 points. Honestly, that surprised me. It honestly surprised me that Peter had a song that won. Yeah, Peter! My personal pick for this track is Baby Driver. I mean, come on. It's some of Peter's best vocals. Some of those screams that he does. When they were at the end where he says you're going 1,000 miles an hour, you know, wow! I mean, he's just so awesome. But I just love the way it just starts off, just like it's just a rocking song.
Yeah.
Tomorrow and Tonight, it's just one of those songs I've never been able to get into. It's almost like they were trying to capture magic for a third time and create a Rock and Roll Over Part 3. You know, and the female background singers, I mean, no. I mean, I didn't like that at all. And that just kind of you see a lot of precursors on these albums going into the solo albums. You see a lot of precursors from everybody in the band. And especially with Ace and especially with Paul, you see a lot of precursors. You know, there's a song we're going to come up on in a little bit for Paul. I'm going to talk about that. There's a huge precursor for his solo album in. But yeah, for me, Baby Driver on this one.
I agree. Baby Driver has a great Peter vocal and scream. You know, it's just a better song overall than Tomorrow and Tonight. Tomorrow and Tonight, it always seemed like an afterthought for me, like an added It's a good song. It's a good anthem, you know. But I thought it felt like they were trying too hard to create another "Shout It Out Loud," and it's kind of a throwaway for me. But I still love it.
Yeah, and Shout Out Loud is the Rock and Roll Over Part 2, the Rock and Roll All Night Part 2 that I was referring to.
Right.
So it's almost like they were trying to capture that magic in a bottle again. And it wasn't even a song that they did live. I mean, they recorded it during sound check and dubbed in, you know, audience. So it wasn't even really performed on the tour.
Hands down for me again, yeah. Baby Driver, my pick, definitely. One of the best Peter vocals, one of his heaviest songs on any Kiss record. Gotta love the lyrics too, and that I love that line that's right before the guitar solo. He says something like, "If that girl will let you in," and he goes, "I mean, let you in." And I thought about it. I'm like, oh, I think he's talking about something else there. But I love it. Love that song. My pick, Baby Driver.
Yeah, same for me. Tomorrow and Tonight, it's a Paul solo album song. And it just never felt like a Kiss song to me. I think the female backup vocals was a huge part of that. There was just something about it. It just never flowed with me. I don't know. I just never got into it. And for that reason alone, I had to go with Baby Driver. Plus, yeah, I had to, you know, Peter deserves some credit. He deserves some wins here. So I gave it to Baby Driver.
In Tomorrow and Tonight, though, trying to give a little bit of props to the song. I don't hate it. But one of my favorite lyrics that I liked out of that song, especially when I was a kid and even more so now, listening to the teacher, bosses, and the preacher ain't never done nobody good.
Never done nobody good.
That's a Paul Stanley construction right there. That is just that whole cadence and the rhyming of it is just great. That's just genius, which he is. And when it comes to music, he is. So, yeah. All right, so that brings us to track 6. Facing off Love 'Em and Leave 'Em and Love Gun.
My prediction for the panel, only for the panel, is Love Gun, the title track.
And my prediction is Love Gun. Love Gun all the way.
Yep, I agree. Love Gun all the way.
All right. My prediction also was Love Gun. Coming in second with 12 points. Love 'Em, Leave 'Em. Love Gun, 37 points, wins the track. For me, my pick, Love 'Em, Leave 'Em. Never really been a Love Gun fan. I've never really... I like the drums, but the song to me is just very monotonous, very repetitious. It is very showboat Paul Stanley, and it's got a great Ace solo. I love Ace's solo. That climbing, that climbing that he does. There's a guy, I'm gonna put the card in somewhere, but there's a guy. He's a Spanish guy, and he does all of these solos. He has like this video of like Ace's top whatever solos, and he covers the solo from Black Diamond, the solo from Love Gun, the solo from Shock Me, and he does such a phenomenal spot-on job. I'm gonna prop him a little bit and put the card up there. If you've not seen this guy's videos, check them out. So, but to me, Love 'Em and Leave 'Em. I love that whole, you know, my limousine is a waiting. I love that whole drive to it. You know, it's Gene's rock star, you know, song. It's room service for Gene, you know. But yeah, Love 'Em and Leave 'Em is a great song for me. Got a great solo too. So Love 'Em and Leave 'Em for me.
Brent, you're like reading my notes. Are you cheating here? I mean, what great minds think alike. Love 'Em and Leave 'Em. Great Gene vocal. Outstanding late Ace lead with the phaser in it. I went back and forth with this one the most, I think. You know, Love Gun, I know it's the title track on my favorite Kiss record. But if I had a choice to listen to just one, I'm going to choose Love 'Em and Leave 'Em. Maybe it's because Love Gun is so overplayed. But
Yeah, I
Love
think
that
Love
jingle.
Gun's been played at every Kiss show possible.
Yeah.
It's one of those songs that Paul Stanley will not let Kiss not play. It has been played
Yeah.
at every show since Love Gun was released. Every single show. Maybe not unplugged or something like that, but live shows, it's at every single one of them. What about you, John?
This was probably one of the hardest picks for me on this track by track. But I went with Love Gun. I just freaking love Paul Stanley's vocals on this song. I think it's his best vocal effort on pretty much any Kiss studio album in the 70s. I love it. Love Him and Leave Him. I love that song too. It was very hard for me not to choose that one. I don't know. There's just something about Love Gun that swayed me that way. But yeah, you're right. It suffers a lot from just being overplayed. And Paul Stanley, I don't think he could really sing that song since 2010 probably. He should have hung that song up probably back in 2008. He just can't get in those registers anymore. But back in the day, man, wow. I mean, the vocals back on that on the studio version are just hands down the best to me.
Yeah, I used to agree with John. I went with Love Gun. It's just, yeah, it's a little overplayed, you could say, but for me, there's a reason for that because it's just so freaking good, and it's a song that doesn't matter what time of day it is, doesn't matter what mood I'm in. Anytime I hear it, I'm excited, and I crank it up. I just love that song so much. I never get tired of it, and yeah, I love Paul's vocal on this. It's like guttural, and it's as if he did it 1,000 times, and I can hear Eddie just in his face, like one more time, one more time, one more time. And he's just so, he's just giving it his all. And that's how I always kind of imagine it when I hear it, because I've never heard him scream like he does on that song or belt the words out like he does on that song. So yeah, for me, I had to go with Love Gun.
All right. So that brings us to track 7, Mr. Speed going up against Hooligan.
I think the panel is going to pick Mr. Speed.
My panel prediction is Mr. Speed for sure. There's no way Peter can win this one. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Peter. I think it's going to be Mr. Speed.
My prediction is Mr. Speed as well. Coming in at number 2 with 9 points is Hooligan. 40 points, Mr. Speed.
Wow.
My personal pick, Mr. Speed. Love it. Love the guitar riff. It's a Paul Stanley construction. It's one of my top 5 favorite Paul Stanley songs. I got the kind of loving that you need. I'm so fast. That's why the ladies call me Mr. Speed. I mean, he's just like talked about this being a fast pickup artist, and it's just a great song. It's one of the most underappreciated. It's not underappreciated. It's not by the fans. It's not underappreciated. It's one of those songs that it makes me scratch my head when it comes to Kiss and how they just sometimes blatantly ignore what their fans love so much. And Mr. Speed is one of those songs. It's like, why has this song not been played more live? Maybe not so much now recently, but back in the day, I've not met a Kiss fan that doesn't like. We had 9 people that didn't choose this, but I guarantee you they probably still like Mr. Speed. I've not met a Kiss fan that does not like Mr. Speed. I mean, there's even a tribute band out there named Mr. Speed. I mean, so why has Kiss just ignored this song? I don't get it, but it's great. It's my pick. So what about you guys?
Yeah, I wrote, it's such a feel-good song, so upbeat, great riff. It always sounded to me as a Dress to Kill leftover, but
oh, good.
Not that that's a bad thing. It's just a great
point.
That's a good observation.
Yeah, it is.
I think the Ace lead on Hooligan is the best part of that song, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, for me, this was another hard one for me because I really love Hooligan. I mean, I'm a green Kool-Aid drinker. I love Peter. I love Hooligan, but I mean, I, Hooligan for me would have won if it went up against other tracks, but when you put it up against Mr. Speed, yeah, no way. I mean, Mr. Speed, it's got one of Paul Stanley's best guitar riffs ever. I mean, I remember learning that riff when I was probably like 15 years old. You know, I'm a guitar player, and it's got that. It's the song that has the most Rolling Stones sort of feel to it. That guitar riff in the beginning, you know, it sounds just like something that Keith Richards would have wrote. You know, it's so good. And I'm perplexed why this song was never released as a single. You know, it's just crazy. It's like one of the best songs in the album, I think, in my opinion. It should have been released as a single.
Yeah, I went with Mr. Speed as well. This was really easy for me because I cannot stand Hooligan at all. There are just a few Kiss songs that are just, I can't listen to them, and Hooligan's one. And so I didn't even have to look. I didn't care if it was Paul singing the alphabet. It was gonna be anything over Hooligan for me. So, but that being said, I do like Mr. Speed. So when I realized that's what it was, I was like, oh well, I'm glad I really truly love the song then. So I don't kind of alter the panel. But yeah, I had to go with Mr. Speed for sure.
All right. So that brings us to track 8. See You in Your Dreams goes up against Almost Human. Predictions.
My prediction for the panel is Almost Human.
And my prediction, I'm going to go the other way. I'm predicting See You in Your Dreams.
I'm going to go with Almost Human.
I'm predicting Almost Human as well, just because I know that's a cult favorite of Kiss fans. Coming in at number 2 with 15 points is See You in Your Dreams. So with 34 points, Almost Human wins. This was hard for me because I like both of these songs, but it just barely edged out and was kind of like a last minute at the finish line decision. I chose See You in Your Dreams over Almost Human. Almost Human is one of those songs I didn't like very much as a kid. And I didn't give it a whole lot of love until I got a little older. And the more I listen to it, the more I like it, the more I get into it. But I guess it's just a little too, I don't know. I would like to have heard a live version of this because it's just a little too God of Thundery for me. And I'm not a big huge fan of the studio version of God of Thunder either. I like the live version better. But I don't know. It's just, it's no hate against the song. It's just, I like See You in Your Dreams better. And I like Gene's version on his solo album even better than this version. This version does get a little monotonous towards the end. But I like Paul coming in with his little echoing some of the chorus that he does and everything, which is really cool. But yeah, it's just, it edges out barely See You in Your Dreams for me. So what about you guys? I know what Heim's going to say.
Well, but again, Brent, I think you cheated. You looked at my notes. I See You in Your Dreams. I love that song. Even on Gene's solo record, just can't get enough of that. And but Almost Human, it really captured my imagination as a 10-year-old, and the heaviness of it just edged out See You in Your Dreams because I love them both.
Well, my pick is Almost Human. I love the song. The opening lines, the moon is out, I think I'm going to change. It always makes me feel, was Gene part werewolf too? It's just some great lyrics. I love the Ace Frehley sloppy solo in the middle. It's so Jimmy Page-ish in quality. I love that track. So yeah, Almost Human for me. See You in Your Dreams, I just never ever was a fan of it. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't like either version. I don't like the Gene Simmons solo album version, and I don't like this version as well. It's something that I just never got into. So definitely Almost Human for me.
Yeah, I went with Almost Human as well. I just think this song it's such a unique Kiss song. It's a little funky, groovy. It's got a little soul in there, and it just always sounded different to me, but different in a good way. And yeah, I don't know. I always look forward to hearing it on the album. Like whenever it gets to Almost Human, I'm like, oh, I've been waiting for this. I love this song. Um, and with See You in Your Dreams, it's a great song. That was what I picked when we did the solo album, track versus track. So because of that, I didn't want to choose it twice. But I do like the Gene solo album version better. So either way, I would have gone with Almost Human. So that's what I went with.
This is one of those songs that kind of is a little bit of a precursor for some of the stuff that you hear on Gene's album, you know, with kind of like the beginning of Radioactive. And I missed it whenever we were talking about it earlier with Love Gun. Love Gun has a definite precursor to Paul Stanley's album, solo album. When Paul did his solo album, he was experimenting a lot with open tuning, and he was using techniques on the guitar that he didn't use before, and he would use an EBow, and an EBow is a thing that it's kind of like it just vibrates one string, and it'll just keep it going, but you can only do one string at a time. So if you're going to do multiple strings, like a chord or whatever, which he does on his solo album, and you have to overdub doing each string. But Love Gun actually has, if you listen to Love Gun, it has what sounds like a synthesizer in the background. That is not a synthesizer. That's an EBow. That is Paul using the EBow on Love Gun just shortly before he would make his solo album. So he continued that technique on. So there's a lot of precursors on this album, especially on Love Gun. So that brings us to track number 9, Plaster Caster against Hard Luck Woman.
My prediction is Hard Luck Woman.
And I'm going to go right with you and predict Hard Luck Woman as well. Yep.
Yep, I think this is another one for Peter, Hard Luck Woman.
Mm-hmm. And I went differently, and I predicted Plaster Caster. All right, so with 14 points for number 2, the panel chose Plaster Caster. 35 points, the panel chose Hard Luck Woman. Me personally, I chose Plaster Caster. I'm not a big fan of Hard Luck Woman. Never been a big fan of Hard Luck Woman. Paul originally wrote that he was trying to write it as an exercise for Rod Stewart, and Gene made him give it to Peter, and then they tried to turn it into Beth Part 2. And Plaster Caster, I just loved even though Gene never was plaster cast, I just loved the whole, the plaster's getting harder and my love is perfection. I mean, I just love all the imagery and the innuendos. I just love Plaster Caster. It's a great song. I
picked Plaster Caster. Even though I didn't know what the song was about for the longest time, I just loved it. Gene and Paul sound so good together on that. Paul's backup, great riffs in that song. But A Hard Luck Woman, I just wrote, how does Rod Stewart turn this down? I thought it was offered to him, but and Maggie May was out kind of around the same time, and it was all very confusing to me. And side note, I think Garth Brooks did a pretty good job on that one tribute record.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
But a really good Pete vocal, but Plaster Caster for me.
Okay, this was the hardest one for me to pick between, because I love Plaster Caster. I love pretty much everything about it, but I just like Hard Luck Woman just a little bit more. I love Peter's vocals, and I'm pretty sure that Paul Stanley's using a 12-string guitar, acoustic guitar in this, and it just sounds so nice. And the vocals, I mean, at the end where Peter says something like, I got to keep on moving. Yeah, I'm moving. He sounds so sad, like, he's kind of tired of touring. In my mind, it kind of felt like that. Even though Paul wrote the song, I think Peter ad-libbed a couple things in there at the end. And I just love the vocal, and I'm drinking the green Kool-Aid on this one for sure.
Yeah, it sounded very heartfelt, that vocal.
Yeah.
I really wish that would have been on Peter's solo album, because I think it would have given his solo album such a big push, and I think it would have just been it just would have fit so well on his solo album. I don't think Paul would ever have allowed that, but
No.
oh, maybe because he would have gotten a writing credit. But I mean,
Well, yeah.
but
If you got enough money, yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I wish it was on his solo album. But yeah, I went with Plaster Caster. It's like Christine 16 and Calling Dr. Love. It's just such a fun song. It's silly. It makes fun of itself in a way, and it's just fun. It's just a good song. And even if you don't know the history and you have no idea what they're talking about, it's still really fun, and you can still kind of imagine what it's about. But yeah, I had to go with Plaster Caster.
It really surprised me that they pulled Plaster Caster out for Unplugged. That was one of the gems off of Unplugged that I was just like, why don't y'all play this song live now? It's like, you know, I would love for the whole thing that they're doing on New Year's Eve for them to pull out some stuff that we've not seen before rather than the same tired old set list. And all right, so track 10. That puts Then She Kissed Me up against Making Love.
Now, this is the one you said was it going to be a blowout. Making Love is my prediction.
Making Love, hands down, gotta be.
Yeah, same here. Making Love for sure.
My prediction, Making Love. And honestly thought that whenever I saw these two against each other, I'm like, I know there's not everybody doesn't like Then She Kissed Me, but I know that it is a song that is not very well liked. And even if it is liked, I didn't think it was going to be able to stand up against Making Love, such a blistering song. What an amazing way to close an album. But with 2 points. 2 points. At number 2, Then She Kissed Me. So it wasn't a goose egg. Well, I don't think we've had a goose egg yet, ever. I don't think we've ever had a song score 0. But 47 for Making Love. And, I mean, come on. The studio version of Making Love is great. The Alive 2 version is even better. The riff on this song, Paul's vocal, the delivery. But, man, on the Alive 2 version, when they coming out of the chorus the first time, and he has that low, and he suspends it, and then they break back into the turnaround to the beginning, and they're all in together. That to me, man, is like one of the single best moments in history ever captured on vinyl. Is that spot right there. It is. If you've not listened to it in a long time, on Kiss Alive 2, go listen to it. Like after this video, go listen to that moment coming out of the chorus the first time, going into red light, green light, don't say no. The stuff before that is amazing. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite moments in history on vinyl. So yeah, Making Love for me, all night long, all the way.
Agreed, totally. That moment on Alive 2, amazing. It could have been the album opener. I felt. Always thought it was strange that it was the last track on the record. It's the first song John Steele from Voice of Doom and I ever jammed on. We first met in a fellow mutual friend's garage to jam, and I started playing that riff. I was on guitar, he was on drums. And he was like, "Oh, we're gonna be pals," you know. Then She Kissed Me, you know. Out of all the songs they could have covered, it's a head scratcher. They could have covered a Slade song and beat Quiet Riot to the punch, right? Or even one of Paul's favorites, like a Raspberry song, you know. But it was very confusing to me. That's probably my least favorite Kiss song of all time.
Yeah, hands down, Making Love for me. Jeez, I mean, that, in my opinion, is probably the closest they ever got to like a Led Zeppelin sound. I mean, that riff is just, it's got Jimmy Page written all over it to me. And it's probably my second favorite Ace Frehley solo from a Kiss album. My first being Shock Me, but the solo in Making Love is just hands down awesome.
Oh, he's shredding. He's shredding. I love it.
Oh my God. It's one of his best. And Then She Kissed Me, I just never could get into it. I don't know if they were trying, if Eddie Kramer, I don't know who picked that. Was it Paul that came? I mean, were they trying to get on the radio with that song? That's the only thing I can think of why they would
I
put
don't
that
know
on
what
the
they were
album.
thinking. It's like the biggest blemish on the Love Gun album to me. It's like an embarrassment. It's like if I was playing Love Gun for somebody, I'd damn sure get the needle off the vinyl real quick before that song started.
Right.
The last song is Plaster Caster. That's it.
Yeah.
And I don't even think they've ever played that song, even on a Kiss cruise
Good.
live, ever.
Good.
Yeah. That's a good decision.
Good. What about you, Carla?
Yeah, I mean, I had to go with Making Love as well. I mean, on its own, it's a fantastic song, and I think it helped Rock and Roll Over that it was going up against And Then She Kissed Me, because I think, I said at the beginning of the video, there's one or two songs on Love Gun that I think are going to keep them from winning this, and this is definitely one of them. Then She Kissed Me, yeah, just because it can happen doesn't mean it should happen, and this is definitely one of those moments where it's like, this did not need to happen. If one of them, I don't know who, but if one of them like just really wanted to do the song, they should have done it on a solo album, or just played it once in concert and been done with it to scratch that itch of them doing this song. Yeah, it's not good. So for me, Making Love all the way.
Okay. All right. So, how did your picks come out? So for me personally, I picked 5 and 5 off of each album. So it's split for me. What about you, Heim? Did you pick more?
I believe I picked more Rock and Roll Over songs, but Love Gun is my favorite record of all time. My favorite Kiss record.
Yeah. Well, the track by track really throws things for a loop.
Yeah. I got all the predictions right.
Yeah.
I guess that wasn't very difficult, but.
What about you, John? Did you pick one more off of one album than the other?
Yeah, I had 6 tracks for myself off of Love Gun over 4 for Rock and Roll Over. But I predicted that the panel would choose 6 from Rock and Roll Over against Love Gun.
I'm the exact same as John. For me personally, it was Love Gun 6, Rock and Roll Over 4. But for the panel, it was Rock and Roll Over 6, Love Gun 4. So John and I were twins for this one.
Rock and Roll Over wins 6-4. Rock and Roll Over is the winner, 6-4. Love Gun won I Stole Your Love. Love Gun won Shock Me. Love Gun won Love Gun. And Love Gun won Almost Human. And everything else was off of Rock and Roll Over.
Yeah, wow.
All right, so favorite album cover between the two.
Love Gun's iconic. They're both iconic. But I got to go with Rock and Roll Over. I like the illustration that much better. Even though the nice looking ladies on the Love Gun record. Oh, look at my... can you see this? This is was gifted to me in 78 or 77.
That's nice.
77, I think. That's from 1977. I've had that on my wall, my teenage bedroom, throughout my whole life. It was from the side of the highway type of a gas station type deal. It's a velvet painting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah.
But Rock and Roll Over, the illustration, I think. It's better.
I have to go with Love Gun. That's my favorite cover of any Kiss album. Just because of, I mean, they look like superheroes. They look like they're inside of some kind of, I don't know, some gothic Greece Colosseum with all these white-faced ladies, basically worshiping them. I mean, yeah, it's just so iconic looking. The costumes, I think, are the best costumes, in my opinion, that they had in the 70s. Just love the album cover. But I like Rock and Roll Over. Rock and Roll Over, great album cover, too. I mean, it's very... Those 3 covers in the, between 76 and 77, Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, and Love Gun. They're my favorite covers.
Gene's first use of the hand symbol, right, on the Love Gun cover?
Yep.
Yeah. What about you, Carla?
Yeah, I have to go with Love Gun. There are a few images where if someone had never heard of Kiss and they kind of just want a basic description of what their music is like, I always say the solo albums, Destroyer, and Love Gun. Like, that's the art I would give to someone to say, this is what Kiss is. And I think you would be able to kind of get an idea just from the Love Gun cover of the type of band that Kiss is, the kind of music that they play. And I just think it's awesome. There's so many things I love about it. I just love the women on the bottom. I think that's cool. I love the 4 guys. I think that's cool. I love the colors that they use. Rock and Roll Over is a great piece of illustration, but between the two, I have to go with Love Gun.
Yeah, I love both of these albums. I love both of the covers. They're very iconic, but everybody knows me, knows that the Love Gun and Alive 2 era is my favorite, hands down favorite era. Everything that they did from Love Gun, Alive 2, the solo albums, the Dynasty, is my favorite. So my favorite cover between these two is this one right here. It says, and these are my favorite costumes. This is my favorite era. And so, yeah, Love Gun, favorite album cover for me. All right, so hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to talk about what is next. I found 2 albums, very iconic albums, very heavyweight albums in their own different aspects, very much fan favorites, with equal tracks, 9 tracks. And so the next track versus track for you guys, and y'all going to appreciate me this week because I'm about to make this week the last week, Thanksgiving week of your of 2020. I'm going to make it great for you. I'm going to give you 2 amazing albums to listen to and to bat up against each other for the next tracks versus track. The first album, Dynasty, versus Creatures of the Night.
Some stark differences there.
Yep.
Track versus track, Creatures of the Night versus Dynasty. 9 tracks. See, I just gave you an amazing week to listen to. Amazing week. So, there you go. We'll have that next. Appreciate everybody being here today. Heim, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Brent.
Thanks for joining. And look forward to the new album. And like I said, guys, if you haven't seen, look back through my videos, and I put the card up earlier at the beginning of the video. If you're not heard of these guys, Voice of Doom, based in New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, look them up. If you like some Black Sabbath type music and Typo Negative and just dark stuff and dark and heavy and a little punk thrown in there and, you know, some Black Flag and some Misfits, and if I'm making your ears perk up, then you need to check out his band because they are awesome. They're really good. I'm really happy that they sent me the album, the CD that they sent, and with all the little goodies and stuff. I really, truly mean it, man. I really enjoyed the album. John, good to have you back. Good to have you to actually be in this one with us. We hated that you couldn't be in.
Thanks for having me.
And I'm still trying to get that one rendered up and get it on my website. And it'll have that little vrr audio through it, but hopefully you'll be able to listen to it and get to see it, so you can hear John's input on the one. What did we do? Solo albums.
Solo
albums.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they run together after a while. And Carla, thank you again for taking the time. Thank all of you for taking the time.
Yeah, it's always good to be here. Oh,
Nice meeting everyone.
Oh, look at there. Oh, look at it. We got a little cameo. Has he been in your lap this whole time?
for most of it.
Most of it, yeah.
Is that a Yorkie?
It's a miniature Schnauzer Terrier mix.
Oh, okay. He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
He's needy.
All right, guys. That's all we got for this one. Thank you for voting. Thank all of you guys for being here. We'll see you on the next one. with Track versus Track, Creatures of the Night against Dynasty. Y'all have a good one. Take it easy.
See ya.
With 16 points, with 19 points, hold on. With 19 points, let me get it together. Carla has to deal with this all the time. She knows I'm a wreck sometimes.